A somber day for a Utah family after learning their loved one was killed during the attacks in Afghanistan.
He led his men into that, and they followed him.
How they're remembering the fallen Marine Staff Sergeant.
Our troops are still in danger.
Plus, as the situation in Afghanistan deteriorates, we are now learning the U.S. military has taken action against ISIS-K.
Cell phone video from inside a Park City junior high shows one student assaulting another.
When I saw the video, I was horrified.
Tonight, some parents feel the school did not do enough because of who one of those students is.
Go to hell.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
And disbelief on BYU's campus.
It was just to support the LGBTQ plus students.
How a positive message of support turned into an ugly confrontation.
We begin tonight with developing news. The United States of America has completed a drone strike on ISIS-K forces in Afghanistan. The Associated Press reports the strike happened in the Nangarhar province, hours outside of Kabul.
The Pentagon is confirming this is in retaliation to yesterday's deadly explosion at the Kabul airport. We'll have more on this mission in just a moment, but first, the devastating news of a Utah Marine who was killed in that attack.
Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover is an American hero, one of 13 U.S. service members killed in the suicide bombing.
Friends and relatives are remembering the life of the man they dearly loved. Fox 13's Erin Cox spoke with Staff Sergeant Hoover's father at his home in Sandy. She joins us tonight from there. Erin.
And Bob and Kelly, Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover was just 31 years old and on his third deployment to Afghanistan. His father tells me that his son loved serving what this American flag represents, and that is freedom. Serving the red, white, and blue was something Darren Hoover did as a police officer and something his son followed.
He took it more than 2 or 3 steps above me, and he was doing for others what they couldn't do for themselves.
Taylor Hoover served in the Marines beginning at age 19, but Taylor knew long before then this was what he wanted to do.
He was 11 years old at 9/11, and at that time he decided that, hey, that's what I want to do.
And what became of Taylor's 12-year-old dream? 3 deployments in Afghanistan. He left most recently in May.
He sent a cryptic message saying, I can't tell you where I am, but can't tell you what I'm doing, where I'm going, but just watch the news, you'll know.
It was Thursday morning that Darren learned that his son, the first to give him the title of father, would be the son to give him a gold star.
He led his men. He led his men into that, and they followed him. But I know in my heart of hearts he was out front. And they would have followed him through the gates of hell if that's what it took. And ultimately, that's pretty much what he did. Just to help preserve our freedoms and help those less fortunate that don't have the same thing that we have. And I'm proud of him. Our family couldn't be more proud of him.
Now, I asked Darren what the community could do for him and his family, and he responded to support our armed forces. We are still waiting to hear the details on when Sergeant Hoover will be returned from Afghanistan and where he will be laid to rest. Live in Midvale, Erin Cox, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Erin, thank you. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family. Fox 13 News also spoke with one of Staff Sergeant Hoover's childhood friends who played football with him all through high school and before. The two went to Hillcrest High School together in Midvale.
He was the shy kid, the nicest kid in the world. So this doesn't surprise me. He was, front and center of this horrible thing. Yeah, just shy, but like I said, he gets on the football field, he'll take your head off. So he's this shy kid, but he wasn't shy on the football field, and that's what we loved about him. He was really undersized for his position as a lineman, but with his big heart, it didn't really matter. So he was a hell of a player, and I'm gonna miss him dearly.
Hoover graduated from Hillcrest in 2008 and immediately began his 12 years of service in the Marines.
Tonight, Utah's governor and congressional delegation are reacting to the news of Staff Sergeant Hoover's passing.
Governor Cox says he spoke with Staff Sergeant Hoover's family today. In a tweet, he says, "When I asked how we could help, his dad simply replied, 'Just promise me Utah will never forget my son.' I did," writes the governor. He says, "Please help me keep my promise."
Utah Senator Mike Lee says burying a child is a grief no parent should bear. Going on to say, quote, "He died completing a mission to save his countrymen and civilians from evil and oppression. He lived the Marine Corps motto by living and dying always faithful."
And Utah Congressman John Curtis says Staff Sergeant Hoover is a hero who continued evacuating civilians despite knowing that an attack at the airport was a real possibility. He went on to say he undoubtedly saved many American and Afghan lives through his selfless commitment to public service and the United States.
Tributes to Staff Sergeant Hoover continue to pour in. Fox 13 will continue to follow this in the days ahead, on air, online, as well as our social media pages.
Less than 2 hours ago, U.S. forces struck Islamic forces in response to yesterday's deadly explosion at the airport in Kabul.
This is developing news tonight. The Pentagon saying the unmanned drone killed an ISIS-K planner. As Isabel Rosales reports, troops are now bracing for another potential terrorist attack.
As evacuation efforts enter a vulnerable stage in Afghanistan.
This is the period of time when the military, commanders on the ground, and forces begin to move not just troops home, but also equipment home. And that is often a very dangerous part of any mission.
U.S. troops are bracing for the threat of another terrorist attack from ISIS-K.
The threat is ongoing and it is active. Our troops are still in danger.
Crowds at Kabul's airport visibly thinner following Thursday's deadly explosion.
Our hearts go out to all those we've lost.
President Joe Biden met with his national security team Friday to discuss the dangers still ahead.
I met with my commanders this morning, first thing in the morning, got a detailed briefing about yesterday's attacks and the measures they're taking to protect our forces and complete the mission. And we will complete the mission.
Now, with the August 31st deadline fast approaching, the Pentagon is looking to keep the airport safe as the military draws down.
Lives are still the priority. The lives of our troops and, of course, the lives of evacuees, and trying to continue to get as many out as possible. So there will be a balance over the next few days.
In Washington, I'm Isabel Rosales.
Before learning of Staff Sergeant Hoover's passing, Utah Congressman Chris Stewart was on Fox 13 News Live at noon to talk in depth about the ongoing situation right now in Afghanistan. Here's Fox 13's Max Roth with more of that interview.
The congressman focuses on national security issues as a member of the House Intelligence Committee. He thinks what's happened in Afghanistan has been heartbreaking to watch, and it could have been avoided.
I don't care how long it takes.
Utah's 2nd District Congressman Chris Stewart's frustration is clear.
My staff was working intensely, literally 24 hours a day, to try to facilitate getting some people out. We've been successful in a few cases, but Max, in not many. A few here and there, but it's a catastrophe what's happening over there with potentially yet still thousands of Americans, potentially still tens of thousands of Afghan allies who bravely sacrificed to serve with Americans. And for the integrity and the credibility of America, it's just as I said, it's heartbreaking to watch this.
Stewart says America should stay in country until all Americans and Afghan allies are out.
How could we do anything except that? How could we say next Tuesday, well, we've done the best we can and we're just going to shut this thing down?
If you would like to see the entire interview with Representative Stewart, you'll find it on fox13now.com. In the newsroom, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, switching gears to weather, I don't have fantastic news for you. Air quality has gotten quite a bit worse in the last few hours. Logan down through Ogden and Layton right now, air quality is mostly red, which is unhealthy across the board. For the Salt Lake Valley, from Midvale over towards West Valley down towards Harriman, we're mostly looking at red air. And on the east side of the Salt Lake Valley, so looking up towards the U down through Sugar House and into the Cottonwood Heights area, air quality is more of an orange level, which is unhealthy for sensitive groups. Now, Utah County from Provo to Payson, a mixture of red and orange air, and it's still good across southern Utah. Salt Lake City right now, we've got temperatures at 76 degrees. We have clear sky here across the Wasatch Front, Logan down through Santaquin and across the region. So coming up, how long will the smoke stay here in Utah? Where will it be the worst heading into tomorrow? Plus, when we could see some tropical moisture making its way here into Utah. I'll have that timing coming up.
Coming up on Fox 13 News at 9.
Tonight, a call for accountability after this attack was caught on camera in a Park City middle school. What one parent is demanding to keep her kids safe at school.
Simply a question of whether we hit those triggers where we do have to close classrooms and close buildings.
Plus, multiple universities in Utah will soon require students to be vaccinated for COVID-19. How students and university leaders are reacting.
A viral video shows a man tossing out homophobic slurs on the campus of BYU. We'll show you the video, plus the people that recorded it and their reaction coming up.
New at 9, a junior high school in Park City is responding tonight after a video surfaced showing one student assaulting another in a classroom.
And this video difficult to see. The incident happened at Treasure Mountain Junior High School yesterday afternoon. As Fox 13's Haley Higgins tells us, parents believe the victim in this case was simply standing up for his teacher.
Cell phone video posted on Snapchat shows a teenage boy wearing black push a student inside of a trash can head first. Seconds later, the teenage boy picks up the student above his head and throws him on the ground.
I know that now. Sorry.
A mother whose daughter witnessed the assault spoke to Fox 13 under the condition of anonymity.
She felt powerless to help. The incident happened very quickly, but she was terrified.
The mother says the victim confronted the teen about making racial comments about a teacher.
This new student stood up and said, "I'm not comfortable with the way you guys are talking about this teacher. We need to stop." And that's when this other student just went off the rails and attacked him.
It was a disturbing moment. Yesterday was not a proud moment for our amazing school.
Several parents reached out to the school with safety concerns. In a YouTube video posted Friday, Principal Caleb Fine says 2 staff members interrupted the assault within a minute's time. He says no students or staff members were hurt.
We are going to work hard to ensure this is a safe environment and an environment that raises quality young men and women who are prepared for an incredible future.
Fine says the incident was immediately referred to law enforcement and that the student is facing consequences here at school.
When I saw the video, I was horrified.
This mother believes school administration is downplaying the incident because he comes from an influential Park City family.
My feeling is that is not enough. He needs help. That behavior is not acceptable. Our children need to be safe in the school system.
In Park City, Haley Higgins, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The Park City School District and the students' parents did not respond to our request for comment. Because he is a minor, we are not releasing his name.
Salt Lake City police now searching for the person who shot 3 people early this morning. It happened at about 2 a.m. following a fight at 321 South Main Street. Now, during the incident, someone threw the car keys at one suspect. Police then used those to track down 32-year-old Justin Singer. He was booked into jail for aggravated assault.
So, this is the downtown area of Salt Lake where there's lots of restaurants, bars. It was right after bar closing time. So nothing that would indicate this is an area that it was the area that caused the issue. It's obviously an altercation between a group of people, and what led to that altercation is part of what our detectives will try to figure out.
All 3 victims are expected to be okay. If you do have any tips that can help investigators out, please call Salt Lake City Police.
Tonight, we're learning of the tragic death of a Utah school teacher. Jonah Glenn, a 7th grade social studies teacher at Midvale Middle School, was riding his motorcycle Wednesday when police say he was hit by a car driven by 26-year-old Wilhelm Robert Hyder. Investigators say Hyder admitted to having at least 4 drinks before getting behind the wheel. He now faces a DUI charge. Yesterday, Midvale Middle School Principal Mindy Robison sent a letter to parents announcing Glenn's death, saying, "Our thoughts are with his family and friends at this difficult time." As so many of his students will tell you, Mr. Glenn was a wonderful teacher. Principal Robison goes on, "I also knew him to be a trusted colleague and a great friend. The Midvale Middle community will miss him so much." There is a GoFundMe page for Glenn's funeral costs online. We have a link to that on our website, fox13now.com.
A federal appeals court has upheld a conviction in one of Utah's biggest fraud cases. Rick Kerber was accused of bilking people out of tens of millions of dollars, but his prosecution was tricky. It took the feds 3 tries to convict him. Kerber appealed his conviction and 14-year sentence. However, the Denver-based 10th Circuit Court rejected all of his claims.
Utah's drought situation has improved slightly. A large part of southwestern Utah has moved from extreme and exceptional to severe. Last week, only 1% of the state was in severe. This week, it's almost 12%. The Department of Natural Resources says the recent rainstorms have helped, but of course, we are still in a drought.
Well, happy Friday night, everyone. Let's bring in meteorologist Allison Crokin to talk about our weather for the upcoming weekend.
Yes, and of course, people are wondering about the smoke. So air quality will be a concern as we head through the weekend. But let's talk about our current conditions first. Here in Salt Lake City, it's a very comfortable Friday night, 76 degrees. The only thing that's not ideal is that we have so much smoke out there. We've actually lost a few miles of visibility. Visibility is now down to 7 miles. For Saturday and Sunday, our forecast is for that orange level, which is unhealthy for sensitive groups with mandatory action for Salt Lake. So if you can, cut back on driving and also check the air quality before you head out the door, just to make sure that you're going to be out in safe conditions if you're planning on exercising. Logan, Ogden, Salt Lake, down through Lehigh, Provo, and Santaquin, clear sky, a little bit of a light breeze. And then for southern Utah, we do have a few clouds towards the Four Corners, but otherwise clear sky. Now, of course, it's hard to see the sky with all of the haze that we've had. So smoky sky, carpool if possible for your road trip weather this weekend. Mild weekend, dry roads, and then we're going to have more moisture moving into the state starting Monday, but then likely really picking up towards the middle to end of next week. So tomorrow morning, Saturday here in Salt Lake City, about 60 degrees as you first wake up. By 10 o'clock in the morning, we are into the 70s. So by the time that your teen wakes up, it'll be into the 70s. Storm threat for tomorrow off to our east, and we'll keep things dry here across the state for a few more days. So we'll see better chances for that rain to return next week. Overnight temperatures, though, 58 for Provo, 60 for Ogden, low 60s for Salt Lake and Logan at 6 a.m. Temperature of 48 degrees. By tomorrow afternoon, our temps will be around 80 to 85 for Ogden, Provo, and Salt Lake. And for St. George, you're close to 105 for several more days. So here in the western part of the country, we likely will see remnants of Tropical Storm Nora. So right now that's located off the coast of Mexico. It is about 285 miles south of Cabo. That storm will continue moving towards the north, and we're going to see this moving into the western part of the country into next week. So by next Wednesday, that starts to make its way into southern Arizona. So we'll want to keep our eye on that moisture. And then another big headline will be Ida out in the Gulf Coast, impacting most likely Louisiana by Sunday as either a Category 3 or 5 or 4 hurricane. So we're going to have very big concerns for the southeastern portion of our country as we wrap up the weekend. St. George close to 105 through Monday, and then middle of next week we'll see more clouds with that tropical moisture and also better chances for showers and thunderstorms. For Salt Lake City, we're in the mid-80s tomorrow, low 90s for Sunday, mid-90s for Monday, so a hot start to the week, and then we'll also cool down. Coming up later in the hour, I'll show you your smoky sky forecast.
All right, Allison, thank you. After emergency brain surgery last year, one Utah boy's dream came true. And it looks a little bit like a familiar video game. We'll show you when we come back. It's that time of year again. The Utah Arts Festival is back.
It's back after a little break, but all weekend long you can check out art exhibitions, live performances, films, and literary performances. It is being held at Library Square in downtown Salt Lake City. Those in charge say this event's return is really great for the community.
I think art is so vibrant and makes a vibrant community, and so people have been missing that. And also it's an economic driver. I mean, this is bringing business and tax dollars into our city, into the county, with people traveling in and even the art sales.
Yeah, it's really a fun time. The festival started this afternoon. It runs through Sunday. Tickets are $15. Well, one Utah boy saw a video game come to life, and for him it was a dream, or rather a wish, a very special one, come true.
Last week, Fox Pest Control and Make-A-Wish got together and unveiled a life-size custom Mario Kart course for Benji, who developed a brain tumor last year. He had emergency surgery, and during his recovery, video games became his escape. Benji drove his own go-kart through multiple courses and even had prizes to open. But it is possible he was a little too excited to see them.
He was so excited. He just blew right past everything, and he just went through all of the worlds, and he went around the track like, I think 4 times at least before we finally flagged him down and had him come in.
Yeah, you go, Benji. This is the 5th child Fox Pest Control has sponsored so far.
Coming up after the break.
My fear is that, hardly anyone is masking.
2 major universities in Utah will start requiring the COVID-19 vaccine.
Go to hell.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I still kind of can't believe that I saw that with my real life eyes.
A viral video shows a man trying to wash off pro-LGBTQ chalk art as well as throwing out homophobic slurs on the campus of BYU. We'll show you the video plus reaction to it straight ahead.
There's just a lot of support, and now that we have students back on campus, we all see how critical it is that we maintain this.
Some large universities in Utah will start requiring the COVID-19 vaccine.
The University of Utah and Utah State University have both announced they will impose a COVID-19 vaccine requirement. And as Fox 13's Ben Winslow reports, more schools could now jump on board.
This would be, to have students vaccinated by spring semester, but will require students to get vaccinated during the fall.
Utah State University is instituting a COVID-19 vaccine requirement for all 29 of its campuses across the state.
We know that students really want to be face-to-face. They want to be out enjoying campus. They want to be with their friends and have all of the things that define an Aggie experience. And that really depends on them getting vaccinated.
The University of Utah will do the same, requiring students who attend to get the vaccine. Discussions are ongoing about faculty and staff, including university healthcare employees. Fox 13 reported earlier this week, university leadership was in talks with the governor and legislature about a vaccine requirement. Other colleges and universities are still deciding what they'll do.
I think we all feel the sense of urgency.
The Utah Board of Higher Education has been debating whether to impose a vaccine requirement. Under Utah law, universities can't mandate masks on campuses as COVID-19 cases surge again.
My fear is that, hardly anyone is masking. I think it is a matter of time. It's simply a question of whether we hit those triggers where we do have to close classrooms and close buildings.
Colleges and universities were unable to require vaccines until earlier this week, when a law died that prohibited government mandates of the emergency COVID-19 vaccine.
Now that the FDA has approved the COVID vaccine, at least the Pfizer vaccine, they could choose to do that.
In a closed-door caucus, Republican House members discussed a number of issues, including universities' request to impose a vaccine requirement.
The solution, Ben, is for as many people as can or are willing to go get a vaccine. That is our ticket out of this. It's a ticket to make sure we don't have to worry about kids with masks in schools. They really are a great solution, and I know people and I want people to make their own choice, but they seem to be working really well.
Now, it should be pointed out there are some pretty big exemptions to vaccine requirements under Utah law for things like medical, religious, and personal reasons. On the Hill, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
And to go along with Ben's story in New at 9, Weber State University now confirming to Fox 13 it too will impose a vaccine requirement for all students. A formal announcement is not planned until next week, but the university says it will work on a vaccination requirement to be implemented in the fall that requires students to be vaccinated prior to the spring semester. Weber State says, quote, as a Utah system of higher education institution, we want to do our part to help the state combat increasing rates of infection and hospitalizations.
A dozen people suing the state over Utah's restrictions on mask mandates in schools want a judge to block the law. Fox 13 News first reported on the lawsuit earlier this week. A group of parents say their at-risk children are denied an education because schools cannot impose mask mandates in the COVID-19 pandemic. Tonight they filed an emergency restraining order. A judge may schedule a hearing next week.
There are more than 1,200 new COVID-19 cases in Utah today. School-aged children are accounting for 250 of those. 8 more Utahns have lost their lives to the virus, and the 7-day positivity rate is now up to 15.4%.
More than 7,800 doses of the COVID vaccine were administered since yesterday's report, and more than 3,700 Utahns are now fully vaccinated.
The COVID cases continue to rise statewide, and in younger people, Utah hospitals are now getting full. Those at Intermountain Healthcare say they're having to send patients to different hospitals within their network. It's all to make sure patients are getting the care they need as the number of available beds dwindle.
We are above 100%. And what that means is that in many cases, we are lacking those emergency beds. And so we're unable to provide that immediate care in the same way that we normally need to.
Those with Intermountain also say they are unable to open additional hospital units for their patients due to a staffing shortage.
A young man's destruction of chalk art at BYU is going viral tonight. Coming up, we'll look at what's being done to repair the damage in what some are calling an act of hate.
And we had very poor air quality here across the state today and tonight. Coming up, your surface smoke forecast for the weekend, and also when we could see monsoonal storms plus tropical moisture here in Utah.
No, go to hell.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, I'm sure the Bible actually says that.
Well, this video you're seeing was taken shortly after a pro-LGBTQ event at BYU involving artists drawing pictures and writing messages of support in chalk all around the school campus.
The man is shown trying to wash off the chalk and then saying a homophobic slur. Fox 13's Spencer Joseph reports from BYU.
Myself and Amber, we were still lingering around, just reading all of the different supportive messages.
Friends Anthony and Amber attended a sidewalk chalking event Thursday in support of the LGBTQ community at BYU. Neither are students, but afterwards they wanted to see all of the artwork.
So I was here checking out some of the art with my friend Anthony, and then this kid walks up with his water bottle.
Amber pulled out her phone and filmed this man trying to wash away the chalk. And then...
No, go to hell.
Oh, yeah? I still kind of can't believe that I saw that with my real life eyes, because that is something that you see on other people's videos.
The pair were horrified, especially right after attending such a positive event.
Not knowing what to expect, we already have quite.
It was just to support the LGBTQ plus students.
Amber posted the video to social media, where it spread like wildfire.
A lot of people coming out in support of the LGBTQ students.
getting the attention of the school, who released a statement saying, quote, "We unequivocally condemn behavior and language that is disrespectful and hurtful. There is no place for hateful speech or prejudice of any kind on our campus or in our community. The Honor Code explicitly states that each member of the BYU community has the obligation to respect others."
That is very clear. I like that.
But they hope it leads to action.
What's next?
Yeah, without actions, this is just words.
Many, including these two, believe this directly relates to a speech Elder Jeffrey Holland of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints gave last week.
The events of this week, starting with that speech, have kind of drawn a line in the sand.
Go to hell.
I'm sure the Bible actually says that.
For these two, the experience was troubling, but by sharing it, they hope they can shine a light on what happened.
I want people to see that this kind of behavior is alive and well.
BYU added to their statement that every student and person on their campus deserves to feel a sense of belonging. Of course, we'll keep you up to date if there are any further developments from the campus. But for now, at BYU, Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
This is literal concrete proof that we're here, that we've arrived.
You recognize that guy? An extreme sports legend. He landed in Salt Lake City today, all to open a new skate park. Still ahead, hear from skateboarding star Tony Hawk about how this new concrete park means for kids in Utah.
Yeah, Tony is a legend. And later in sports, highlights from week 3 under the lights, including a heavyweight bout between Bingham and Corner Canyon. And RSL suddenly in a scramble to find a new head coach after Freddie Juarez elects to voluntarily move on. Reaction from Elliott Fall in a bit.
So glad you could join us for Fox 13 News at 9. Bob Evans, Kelly Chapman here with you. The smoky skies are going to be with us. Fox 13 meteorologist Allison Krogan will have your first alert forecast in just a few minutes.
But first, right now, roughly 35,000 Utahns are legally able to purchase medical marijuana and cannabis products. And one local doctor is helping people get their cards. As a certified physician assistant, Tim Pickett consults patients to learn what their medical issues are. He then refers them to the particular strain of flower or edible that may help them with whatever is ailing them.
We bring people out of the shadows so that they're not afraid to talk about it. We see patients who have chronic illness, chronic pain. We focus on the criteria that would get you a medical marijuana card in Utah. We focus on that because that's kind of our expertise.
Well, growing up in Utah, Pickett says he never dreamed what he's doing now could be a viable and legal career, but he is thrilled to be able to offer patients an alternative to medications like Percocet, Vicodin, and other opioids.
A more than century-old business in downtown Salt Lake City is taking the high road, despite being targeted by vandals several times. Utah Woolen Mills president B.J. Stringham says the latest incident happened a month ago. Someone threw a rock through the window and stole a formal suit off one of the mannequins. The irony is, Utah Woolen Mills has been giving back to underserved men since 2016 through the program Suited for Good. More than 1,500 men have gotten free suits from Utah Woolen Mills. And now the shop is encouraging the latest thief to join that crowd.
How is this their best course of action? Like, what must their life look like? And so I felt a lot more compassion where I was feeling frustration.
A life-size letter inviting the thief now hangs in one of the broken windows. While it's a sign of optimism, Salt Lake police say crimes like these are on the rise, and they hope the shop will review security protocols in the future.
Oh, what a way to turn things around there.
Yes, come join the program. Well, a brand new skate park is now open for Utah riders of all ages.
And check this out, legendary skateboarder, there he is, Tony Hawk there in the center. He helped mark the occasion today. In 2019, with help from the Utah Sports Commission and Utah Fair Park, the company Vans built a skate bowl in Salt Lake City, rather. You're taking a look at it. 2 years later, Vans has realized the second part of opening this world-class course. Tony Hawk says he could not be more proud to be part of seeing his sport.
It's exciting. I mean, when I was a kid, it was sort of the furthest thing from cool you could do, and there was not much support in it. You definitely weren't considered cool walking around the hallways of school with a skateboard. And these days, it's the opposite. This is literal concrete proof that we're here, that we've arrived.
I like that. Concrete proof. Tony Hawk is also in town for his Vert Alert tour. That's going on this weekend at the Fair Park Arena. And tomorrow, there is a pro competition for men and women going on throughout the day. It's going to be a party. How will the weather be, Allison?
Yeah, we go from Vert Alert to Nerd Alert, and we'll talk science now in the weather forecast. This is what everyone really has been talking about, is the smoke out there. So when you wake up tomorrow morning, this will be Saturday, 6:30 in the morning. Maybe you're sleeping in a little bit later than that, but for far northern Utah, for the Wasatch Front, we'll see a little bit of an improvement. The blue is more of a haze as opposed to the reds, the purples, and the oranges being more of a heavy smoke. So what we can expect through the weekend is we're going to have a little bit of a break for northern Utah, far northern Utah, Saturday afternoon, well, starting in Saturday morning, and then by Sunday, we actually start to see that filling back in by Sunday afternoon with some moderate smoke here across the state. Now, tomorrow when you wake up along the Wasatch Front, temperatures at 8 a.m. 63, and by 10 o'clock in the morning, 70. We have mostly clear sky, Logan down through Ogden, down towards Kearns into Provo, Park City and Heber, mostly clear sky. We will end up with areas of smoke through the weekend like we just discussed. Temperatures tomorrow morning cool up in the mountains if you're planning on hiking, mid-40s. I would check the air quality, take the inhaler if you do have asthma, heart or lung conditions. We'll be really careful over the next couple of days. And by tomorrow afternoon, it's going to be about 80 to 85, so low 80s for the Wasatch Front tomorrow afternoon. Now we're going to have on Futurecast better chances for showers and thunderstorms into next week. So we're going to end up with monsoonal moisture making a comeback early part of the week into the middle of the week. Then we're going to see, combined with that, we're going to have tropical moisture from a system that's right now off the west coast of Mexico. So we're going to see better chances for showers and thunderstorms into next week because of the Hurricane Ida that's going to make landfall in Louisiana this weekend. And what I'm really keeping my eye on, just a random factoid with this storm, Katrina hit Louisiana August 29th, 2005. Sunday is August 29th. So really just going to be impacting that portion of the country. We are going to see a lot of problems out of that storm. Right now it's forecasted to be a Category 3 or 4 potentially as that makes landfall near Louisiana, if not in Louisiana. So we're going to end up with some rain here across our region as well. Again, remnants of another tropical system. So by the next 7 days, we could see more than an inch of rain, mostly for the highest terrain across southern and central Utah, even making its way up into the UNS. But your dark sky forecast, we're not going to see those storms this weekend, so that's not the concern with the stargazing this weekend. It's going to be that haze from the wildfire smoke. 40s, 50s, and 60s for tonight and tomorrow night. Temperatures both nights will be very similar. For St. George, you're close to 105 through Monday. Next week, look at this, cool down, more clouds with the monsoonal storms and the tropical moisture, bringing better chances for showers and thunderstorms here in Salt Lake City. Mid-80s tomorrow, low 90s for Sunday, mid-90s to start next week, and then we will be cooling down for the rest of the 7-day forecast, and actually through the next 10 days, you'll keep it in the 80s here in Salt Lake City.
Ahead of their weekend road date in Vancouver, Real Salt Lake dropped a coaching bomb today after taking over for Mike Petke a couple of summers ago. Freddie Juarez is suddenly leaving Utah to take an assistant coaching job with the Seattle Sounders. A highly unusual move for a head coach to voluntarily downgrade himself, though current RSL assistant Pablo Mastroni will take over on an interim basis as they search for a permanent replacement.
You know, it happened really quickly. It was in the last 48 hours that, you know, that we all sat down and realized this is where things were headed. Freddie expressed the desire to, you know, to take an opportunity and to move on. And so, you know, we worked diligently on our end to cross all the T's and dot all the I's and make sure things, you know, worked out ahead of the weekend.
Juarez has been with the RSL organization for over a decade, finishing with 18 wins, 23 losses, and 14 draws through 55 matches as head coach. ESPN has reported that Jameis Winston has beaten out Taysom Hill for the Saints starting quarterback nod week 1 against the Packers, though as usual, expect to see Taysom on the field in an assortment of creative ways. Meanwhile, the other BYU product didn't even suit up for the Jets' final preseason game tonight against the Eagles. Wet conditions in New Jersey, coupled with the risk of injury, meant that Zach Wilson would hold a clipboard instead to watch Jets presumed backup Josh Johnson make the start instead. This game actually resulted in a 31-all tie. A couple of good Week 3 high school matchups never saw the light of night tonight after COVID protocols canceled Lone Peak State at East as well as American Forks bout at West. It's a good thing that this one went on as planned, though. Corner Canyon ranked 23rd nationally, hosting Bingham. Third play of the game, this happens. Devin Brown hits Dylan Carlson in the flat, and Carlson's about to go on a stroll. A really fast stroll, 72 yards when he finally hits the goal line. Lightning striking just like that. Then this time, the USC commit starts from his own 2 and has Cole Hagan wide open. It's a foot race now, of which Hagan wins. 14-0 Chargers after 1 quarter. The Miners needing a spark. Their quarterback, Dallin Martinez, about to give him one. What a spin here to bounce to the outside and move those chains. Too bad a holding call brought it back, though. Then Martinez with a tough throw in traffic. In fact, he gets picked by Coleman Jackson, keeps his feet to give the Chargers great field position, setting up touchdown number 3 for Brown. Jet Maine can waltz in easily. What is that? 43 straight wins now for those guys, I think. 35-7 over the Miners. Go to Utah County for Orem at Pleasant Grove. Start in the 3rd. Atticus McCollum on a Viking hunt. The sack for him, and the Tigers get the ball as well after Zion Saliapaga jumps on it, which leads to this. Colton Brown runs horizontal before he turns up vertical, spin and score. PG did connect with this Nick Staferi to E.J. Hoover hook up right here. The problem for them was Orem piled up 5 touchdowns in the first half alone. They lead big right now in the 4th. And a pair of unbeatens in Westlake and Syracuse. Boy, that's a lot of neon there. Opening drive for the Titans sees a botched snap. Credit Camden Williamson with the Westlake sack. Syracuse settling for a 25-yard Bennett Carlson field goal and the lead. But on their next possession, it's 6. Jake Hopkins quick hits Tyson Stapley and over the line. The Thunder did have a 98-yard interception return in this one, but it's Syracuse that remains unbeaten, 23-6. We're right back.
Well, you can call it the summer's viral craze gone bad. The milk crate challenge has now been banned from TikTok. People have been stacking milk crates in a pyramid, trying to climb them like stairs. Well, it doesn't end so well. So TikTok banned all searches for that video challenge.
All done with that challenge, supposedly.
For good reason.
Or not.
Be careful.
Have a good weekend. Quick Cast up next.